preparing for the Han Tour World Finals, which take place next week. I can't believe it is literally that close, just around the corner. Holy crap. But before we get to that point, obviously these teams now finishing up their preparation and going into that event. And this event here is one of the bigger ones that's helped them do so. The King of the Hill event, Stay Green, they are the current title holders. They've won 2 games here in a row, or 2 series in a row, whatever you want to call it, including defeating Sync Esports the first time to get to that point. So Sync Esports, they got a rematch here. They're looking for some revenge. And also, again, just looking to have a good time here and get some good practice out of this in the end. So can't wait to see what happens. We're already moving along. Before we do, though, real quickly, got my co-cast here today. Going to be joined by the one and only Beef. How's it going?
Hey, Bricky. I'm glad to be back. I've been on the road for a little while here, and definitely been missing out on some Han. Haven't gotten to play or watch a whole lot in the last week or so, but glad to be able to be joining you here for this cast. See who's our new king.
Exactly. Stay Green, maybe new king. Obviously, Stay Green, the current title holders, but Sync Esports looking to dethrone them. Another really cool thing about this series here, obviously, this is one of the better matches we can have nowadays, of course. This and then BMG thrown in the mix. Sync Esports, we get to see them play with Mickey once again here against Stay Green. Obviously, it was officially announced, in fact, in the Challenger match on Tuesday after Sync Esports defeated Reason Gaming 3-1. Zlapt came on after, and he officially announced that Mickey, sure enough, is their new 5th, and he will be going with them to, of course, the Han Tour World Finals. So, obviously, we got that to look forward to now, and, of course, here's a good matchup here against Stay Green. They have scrimmaged quite a bit. Apparently, they've been doing pretty good as well. We'll see how they do today, but it's good to see Mickey back. I know you're a fan of Mickey as well, Beef.
Yeah, I'm absolutely a fan. Mickey makes me feel tall, and that's not something a whole lot of people can do, so I'm always going to be a fan of that.
He also makes you feel really old.
Well, yeah, I guess. The tall thing is the one that I'm going to focus on for right now, Bricky. But you talked about these teams scrimming a little bit earlier in the week, and from what I understand, Sync and BMG have both had pretty strong winning records against SG. So I was even talking to Swinamones, who was saying he's kind of glad that his team is losing in the scrims. He's hoping that it's going to be a wake-up call to everybody that, hey, we need to practice real hard because we got this very important tournament about a week away and need to really start getting into gear. But, Breaky, I'm seeing some bands way up at the top that are certainly not something I've been really familiar with.
Welcome back, Beef. Welcome back. Obviously, you mentioned you've been out for about a week or so and with doing some stuff, but it's crazy how certain heroes have just, like, within a week, maybe just a couple weeks at the most, have just all of a sudden, and I'm sure the one you're really focusing on is that Sir Bensington, the first band, Puppet Master, Tundra Rhapsody coming out. But yeah, Sir Bensington, out of nowhere, he's like the go-to suicide hero that we need to ban. Specifically, Stay Green says that, at least. So,
well, over the last couple of months, he's really come out as just this hero that's going to be able to win almost any 1v1 lane as a result of his lance along. And when you put him in a 2v1 lane, he's still going to be able to zone out most of those supports and be able to find some farm. Excellent roaming from there. So it certainly makes sense. But has there been one standout player that's really been on that Benzie?
It's been a mix. I mean, it's been a case of Jonas, a fan I know, has played it. We've seen for Sync Esports, Case, who has definitely taken part of it. Boxy, actually, of Willowkeeper was the one that we first kind of saw it on, and then these other teams kind of started looking at it as well, and then realized, the power that was Sir Bensington. So I think it's just more so the hero in general is like, okay, this hero's really strong, great at the laning phase, as you put it, and he's also excellent at roaming, of course, when it comes down to it. So don't want to have to deal with them. They are going to have to deal with Kronos, though, as we see here.
Yeah, another one of those strong suicide heroes that have come out relatively recently, and this one definitely been played by quite a few players and quite a few teams in that suicide capacity. Probably going to be going up against either the Wretched Hag or the Kraken down there. And in a 1v1, I think Kronos should have a decent matchup against both of those heroes, although he'd need to have some stacked regen if he was going up against that Hag. The other band that I was looking at there was Tundra. Does Swindle realize that Probusk is not on the opposing team, or is that now directed at a different player?
That's a good point, because, we actually did kind of talk about that a little bit on Tuesday. That was one of those things where Probusk, obviously no longer part of the team, he was really known for playing a very good Tundra, and that was kind of their strategy, the Tundra Parasite combo. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I still think it is just a concept. That idea is there that even though they might not have Probusk still, I'm sure Keizu could play it. I'm sure Meike could even play it.
Okay.
And there is still that threat. But yeah, I mean that is a good point though. Whether he, I doubt he forgot obviously, but not having to deal with that now. But well, we are seeing the picks actually finish off there, so let's go over the full lineup here for Stay Green. Now you got Wretched Hag, Kraken, Empath, Parasite, Drunken Master. So they go the Empath route as far as support options go. I mean, you do look at the bands that ultimately came out, obviously quite heavy in terms of support bands, and you already got Torture picked over there for Sync Esports. So maybe not usually their go-to support hero, but they are going to go with the Empath here. She is also great synergy with a hero like Drunken Master, of course. So at the same time, not too surprising to see that. But again, how are they going to lane this? It's Kraken, Hag, and Drunken. I mean, they can all play like all three of the lanes when you really think about it. So
Yeah.
not exactly sure what we're ultimately going to see here, but it's going to be interesting.
And I mean, normally you'd look at what heroes are going to be played by what players, but I've actually, once again, talking to Swinnemones recently, he's saying that he might actually feel a little bit more comfortable in that suicide type position right now, rather than playing in that middle lane. He said that he felt that in that middle lane you would play the role of the initiator, or even in the short lane, but he feels like the initiator role is kind of dying out right now. There's very limited heroes that are actually occupying that role, and that he instead might be trying to take on more of a suicide role. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Limp in that middle lane with Wretched Hag going long here.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely wouldn't be out of the question. Are they going to swap it up maybe last second? No, they're not. Yeah, Limp, sure enough, is going to be playing the Kraken here, and Wretched Hag going to be played by Swinnemelon. So, again, going to be interesting to see where they ultimately shape up. But, yeah, no, I agree with you. Limp, obviously, just a great Kraken player, and no doubt we've seen him play in that middle lane, even the short lane as well in certain points, depending on the lineup. Probably not going to be the case here, but, I mean, maybe, actually. He is off the bat heading bottom, but, of course, they're going to want to protect their jungle. They do have that Parasite against the Ophelia, actually, of Sync Esports. So that's the easiest way to find out if they're doing Congo or not. You just simply ask them, and they will respond, letting you know, or they'll say that.
Such good manners, Breaky.
It's all stars to me. I got profanity filter on. You never know with these players nowadays.
That's
And,
right. See, I have it on as well. People ask me that. They're like, Beef, why do you have profanity filter? Well, because our players are rude.
there you go. We do see the bottom lane, though. There are possible engagement. Of course, Sync Esports definitely looking to be pretty aggressive here off the bat, and not only block some camps from Parasite, but I do also kind of wonder, are we going to see some kind of an aggressive trial lane even coming out? I mean, they're going into a Parasite with the Ophelia seems like might not be your best decision possible, but we'll see what Sync Esports decides to ultimately go with here. They are going to box out Stay Green ultimately. Stay Green knows that they don't have the numbers here. Wretched Hag is already up at that top lane, so that sure enough pretty much indicates that she is planning to be the suicide hero in this case. She even has that Guardian ring here. Going to be going for the Ring of the Teacher. Kronos actually is going to be found here kind of by himself, but he will have that time loop if he needs it, I'm sure. And so he should be fine. But you look at the warding situation. They double ward block that middle camp right there, and then, of course, they ward aside the pole camp. So they are, again, making really damn sure that Parasite's not going to have the good time, and then they're going to go into the lanes that you would expect. More of the Kronos suicide. You got Ophelia in her own jungle. And then you got Corrupted Disciple. Going to probably... Actually, I wonder, where are they going to send that Corrupted here? Are they going to run a short lane Pestilence or Corrupted in this short lane? Probably Corrupted short lane, but...
Yeah.
Wouldn't be out of the question.
I think if Sync reads this the same way that I did with the SG lanes here, they're going to be just fine with Corrupted Disciple versus Hag in that top lane. And Pestilence, with any kind of support from Torture, should be able to do quite well against Kraken in that middle lane. Kraken won't likely get killed there. He shouldn't be under too much threat, but he's not going to be getting a ton of farm, which is something that you want to get relatively early on Kraken. Getting those Steam Boots and a Portal Key relatively early to help set up team fights for your team, well, that's something that you're going to want to get rather quick, or the hero does tend to die off a little bit, forcing you into more of a defensive type build. Right now, though, I mean, KZ's just kind of hanging out around those double wards, as you had mentioned, and I like that they did choose to stack him a little bit of regen here. He's instead saying, I don't need to actually go for a hatchet, because Chronos damage is Chronos damage, 59 to 65 with 1 point of stats. And that's actually not even stacked, is it?
The regen? No, I don't believe it is. Yeah, that's all his own regen. So
yeah, brought 300. The monkey is flying a stacked regen as well as an additional minor totem.
Okay. There you go. Yeah, he's going to deliver that health potion to him. So, yeah, he's going to make sure to be able to stand strong in that bottom lane. Is obviously the name of the game. But, yeah, you look at what Stay Green might be doing here. First off, they're going to counter ward, but they're not going to get the Rev Ward. Is it out of range? I don't think it is. Yeah, it's just out of range. So,
Yeah.
that will still be blocked, and that's where, again, those mind games come into play. If Stay Green, they're going to be, okay, do we invest into another Rev Ward here and when we can? Or at that point, you just say screw it. But he's going to have to work with these spawns here. But they do send Kraken short lane. So Limp short lane, Empath, Drunken Master. Will in the middle lane and against the Pestilence Torture here.
And I'll say this right now. If Kraken does not get some immediate regen flown out to him, like in the next 30 to 40 seconds, he will get crushed in this lane. He should be absolutely decimated. You already see KZ actually manning up with those Curse of Ages, and Kraken's going to be out of regen within like a minute here.
Yeah.
So he's going to need that very, very quickly. Unfortunately, Bird's already being used for Rev Wards, and this is kind of an interesting decision from SG. Why do you think they might have decided to send Empath Drunken Master mid?
Well, again, a lot of it just comes to the mind games with the laning situation. Maybe they just simply feel like they're going to be able to match up against this Pestilence Torture a little bit stronger with the Drunken Master Empath and then still have Kraken a good time in that short lane against the Chronos. I don't think they would. I mean, the other option was maybe they were expecting some kind of an aggressive dual lane here or even a pseudo tri-lane. But, again, that feels like that would have been almost a little too much with the lineup that is at hand here by Sync Esports. So, apparently, apparently there are some internet issues or some server issues even with a couple of the American players here. It's one of Melons and Z-Freak, so he's going to reconnect, and we'll see if that kind of fixes itself, but may possibly have a remake here if it obviously keeps up, because again, although there is definitely still money on the line, it's still something on the line. In the end, this isn't the over-the-top, like, grand finals of a cycle by any means or anything like that, so wouldn't be surprised if that comes to it. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those cases that they feel like their middle lane will still have a good chance, and then Kraken would also have a good chance. But because of that pooled region, as you were talking about, especially, I mean, right now Kraken's set up to maybe have a little bit difficult of a time in this bottom lane. So,
I mean, I don't know. It's just it's a difficult matchup for any melee. Like, Chronos just kind of wins. If he brings at least 200 to 300 gold worth of regen to that lane, he's pretty much just going to be able to win. And Kraken trying to combat that by going for his Logger's Hatchet nice and early. The one thing that could happen here, if he gets all the CS off of the tower, which he's already missed one, and he's able to get a nice early bottle, Kraken might be able to recover out of this one. Otherwise, he's going to need to be ferrying regen, and Chronos will get a nice solid start down here. In the top lane, though, Wretched Hag versus Corrupted Disciple. CD went to lane with 300 regen himself. Hag the same, but she's got the Guardian Ring, so able to take a little bit more damage herself, but you can already see the presence of that conduit as it's on cooldown right now, and Hag having to fall way back.
Yeah. Definitely causing issues there, and again, it's as soon as that goes up, sure, Hag has the blink ability, but causing to use that mana and that cooldown, and Corrupted Disciple just continues to have that position control. So, yeah, no doubt a good lane set up there for Flensmeister to have a pretty good time. But, again, obviously the middle lane is, as usual, going to be the intriguing one here, your 2 versus 2 matchup. I mean, Pestilence Torture, it is a strong combo of heroes, of course, when it comes down to it, and ideally they would want to be able to catch the Empath, but, Z-Freak, great support player. I'm sure he's going to keep his distance and make sure not to get put in the most vulnerable position to be caught out. Bottom rune's going to be a regen rune, not the biggest deal, not a kill rune by any means. So, yeah, looks like Torture's actually just going to pick it up. Pops the Impalement actually just before, seeing if he can get some damage out. But okay, you see right there, they're calling for a remake. So it looks like we might be remaking here because unfortunately server issues for both Swinomelons and Z-Freak right there. So,
dang it.
Yeah, I wonder if they're actually just going to outright do another draft here, because obviously we already had a little bit of a start. There was count awards and everything happening, so we'll see. We'll see what they do as far as that comes down to. But I don't know, what would you think? Do you think it's warranted of a complete redraft, or?
I think it's really up to the players at this point. The amount of money that's on the line makes it so that I think they're both going to be here more for the practice than anything else. Mm-hmm. And so if they decide they want to go for a new draft, then they can. If they want to play with the same one, I'm sure that they're going to be happy to play out the same lanes, and they'll probably end up going the same way. I mean, nothing major, no first bloods happening there, no runes that were going to be picked up that were going to set up some kind of major pressure.
Yeah.
Everything was kind of going the way it probably should have been. And I think that was probably slightly towards Sync's favor, but we'll see what the guys decide here.
Yeah.
I do want to point out that right before that game ended, Kraken was completely out of regen at 40% life and had just bought an Iron Shield so that he would be able to actually fight Kronos a little bit more.
Okay.
But Kronos still had like like 6 Blightstones and a potion. It was insane.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely missing some CS, but Kraken was about to be forced out of the lane.
Yeah, I mean, Kraken definitely brings that presence himself, obviously, with the melee, with the splash attack and everything. But yeah, I think it's definitely, as you were kind of pointing out, the case of the amount of regen compared to what Kronos had to Kraken was really put it over the top. So something tells me they might be actually just redrafting here, because it was all pick, but now they're remaking again. I don't know if that's because of another server or whatever, but let's see what they decide to do here. Is it going to be all pick again? It is all pick again.
Yeah,
so maybe
it's all pick again.
Okay. So maybe going to just go with the same heroes here, and then we'll see how that starts here. So again, as far as that warding situation and whatnot, we'll see how that kind of goes into it here. But yeah, clearly having some server issues there. But anyways, hey, just delaying a little bit here in terms of what we're expecting, of course, to be a very good best out of 5 series. I mean, last week, of course, Stay Green took on BMG, and that ended up going the distance there. Stay Green did squeak by 3 games to 2, but overall, a very, very, very good series to watch. So, hoping for at least somewhat similar here today, and definitely has the only possibilities in the world. So, and again, Sync Esports especially kind of seeing what they're going to bring to the table, specifically Mickey, and seeing him back. I will say, again, on Tuesday, and I know that I don't know if you were able to catch it or not, but we got to see Mickey against Recent Gaming. He honestly looked like his old self. It seemed like he almost didn't even miss a beat in terms of him being gone for the last couple of months here. So,
yeah, that's really good to hear. I mean, one of the things that was kind of thrown around when Mickey did leave Sync last time, or Denial as they were known then, was that he just hadn't really had any passion for the game for a little while, that he didn't feel like playing, he didn't feel like practicing. And when that happens, I mean, there's no use in trying to force it. You play this game out of love and passion. You don't play this game because you're trying to make a successful career out of it or anything like that. You play because you love the game, and the fame and fortune that comes along with it, well, that's just kind of a byproduct.
Yeah.
If you're not having fun, don't play it. And that's kind of what Mickey did right there. But if he's got the passion back, I'm glad to see him here, and looking forward to more big plays.
Again, talking his lapped after, he was making points about Mickey, both as a player, but even as a person. He's apparently very hyper, like a very hyper kid, really. He's 14 years old, but he loves to talk in chat. He loves to talk in the voice, in their communication during the games. He gets hyped up and everything. And he helps with the team in that aspect, where he helps get them hyped up. And he just simply has fun. And so kind of going off that concept as you were talking about it, it seems like that energy feeds off to his teammates. So, again, another reason why this pickup, the replacement even in Mickey, is definitely a very strong one for them. So this is kind of interesting because obviously we had a restart here, but it's almost as if Stay Green's basically saying, we're just going to let you do the same thing that you guys did before. It's almost, it pretty much is deja vu. In terms of what we saw in the last game. You see the Warriors are going to be a little bit differently placed than they were or the first game before the remake, but this is going to be interesting now. Okay, there's the Rev War. So obviously they were prepared off the bat for this one, but again, it's going to be out of range of, that is just out of range, wow, of the Ward side. So that will be blocked, and while that was happening, Wretched Hag was up here kind of scouting things out. So again, really it is going to end up being kind of the same start in the end, pending some certain jungle spawns here. But what about the regen situation? Is that the same? It is.
Kronos brought 1 extra set, so he's got 500 gold worth of regen now versus Kraken's 90.
Yeah. So even more favored for his side.
I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, you ask for a remake and then you change up the way that you play it. Like, is that okay?
Well, again, if this was the finals of a cycle or something like that, I think there would be a little bit more point put onto that, but ultimately the teams are using this as we've been putting it, more in practice and really just scrimmages in the end that happen to be streamed in Cassadare and Honcast. So from that aspect, I think it's like obviously they're fine with it, but if this was a bigger match, then I would definitely draw attention to that. Like I said, honestly, if this was a bigger match, I think they would have just redrafted altogether at that point personally, but well,
probably true.
It is where it is. So it seems like so far no complaints yet, so it seems like that we should be good to go. terms of game number 1 here. Finally.
Kraken got the additional regen this time.
Uh-oh.
Woo!
It's game over now.
There you go. There you go. He just had the Blightstones that were flown out by the courier, so he's going to be having a little bit better of a time. I'm really interested to see the Drunken Master and Pestilence matchup here mid, though. I mean, with similar items, it's going to be really telling to see who's going to be able to get the better lane position, who's going to be able to get the better harass, and most importantly, the rune control. This 2-minute rune has the potential to be very important.
Yeah, obviously, last game happened to be a regen, which after the remake nullified early. So will this rune be different? Will it be a haste or an invis or something like that, and possibly a bloodlust kill as a result even? We'll wait and see. Torture is going to stack the Ancients right here. You see Empath, though, also coming over. So they're going to notice that that's being stacked. And actually, the wall off right there. Torture's in a lot of trouble. Parasite coming in. The Essence Link going out. Support's going to end up dropping here most likely. The health potion tick, not going to be enough. And Z-Freak actually getting credit for the bloodlust kill right there. So you talk about rune control, definitely in favor of the Legion team. And the Invis rune will spawn top. So it is still sitting there. It looks like Drunken Master is actually going to go pick it up here. Maybe not. Going to kind of protect it and maybe wait for Empath to get it, but obviously a big start for Stay Green.
Yeah, that's really big, and Support getting a little bit of a taste of his own medicine right there. Z-Freak drops an excellent wall, and that's really going to help out. Now both players in the middle lane going to get that rune bottle, so the rune control becomes even more important. But with early boots on Empath, Stay Green has a massive advantage in this middle lane. She's going to be able to set up better walls. She's going to be able to contest runes more effectively. And with that invis now, this is looking really bad for Sync in the middle. They're going to need to find something to do with these heroes because it's going to be pretty impossible to win this lane now.
Yeah. That definitely hurts your overall situation. So Jesse on Drunken Master, his start even more amplified because of that. So you're looking at just about 300 gold per minute for him. The bottom matchup here, Kraken is having the better time so far. 16-0 Kraken versus a 14-2 Kronos. You mentioned last game doing the same thing here. Happens to be Iron Shield picked up on both Kronos and Kraken, actually. But here goes Kronos, actually, playing pretty aggressive. I don't know if he's dead.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
He pulled that last auto attack when he got fogged around the corner. It's a situation of boots versus no boots with another Bash proc coming up on Kronos in just a second. I think that KZ definitely had the opportunity to get that kill since Kraken had already used his charge, but he also knows that he's highly favored in this matchup from where it stands currently. Middle lane, though, Bricky.
Yeah, Pestilence going to throw the Impale Stout. Will it be enough to get away? Beautiful chain reactions coming out, but the wall off from Empath once again just a little too strong, and Pestilence will fall. Now that was being set up for the whole time. Empath had an Invis rune active. She was sitting on this uphill, giving them the vision as well, setting up for the kill, of course, and sure enough, the patience paid off. So that 2-minute Invis rune coming through for another kill, and now they're going to be able to bottle up the regen rune, actually, which happens to spawn top lane. So it's safe to say the middle lane is already being won big time now by Stay Green, and Swinnemones especially, and really any top-tier Han player will really make a point that you win games nowadays really with that middle lane matchup, especially when it's a 2 versus 2 like this. So this is definitely setting up very, very nicely once again for Stay Green right now.
Yeah, it certainly is. They're going to need some help from Ophelia here relatively soon. The one thing that they do have going for them is, of course, Kronos winning his suicide lane. Up top, Swinnemons is consistently having to use his mana and his Flash of Darkness cooldown to break conduits. And Funzmeister, he's doing all right up there at 21 and 14, definitely beating the Hag, but he's using a lot of his time actually harassing the Hag. So he's missed a few CS than a few more than I would have expected.
Yeah, you see that up there, 13-1, 24 and 15. Yeah, Corrupted Disciple. Geez, so Flintmeister really taking control of that top lane. How about that jungle situation here? Zlapt and Ophelia versus Minot, of course, playing the Parasite here. You're looking at 277 gold per minute Parasite. Now, he has a 2 assists compared to the 205 GPM Ophelia so far. Ophelia is doing actually a triple stack right here, though, in the meantime, with that Vulture Lord, so should be able to enhance her farm quite a bit from there, but so far not being too active in terms of ganks. I saw her kind of moving towards the middle lane when Pestilence was getting caught on, but obviously by then it was just too late. So really hasn't been able to find the best opportunity just yet.
Yeah, with that, with the Vagabond later, the nuke's going to be useful if you're able to actually get into a fight already in progress. But when players are running without something like a Skeleton King, you're not going to be able to really chase them down. So back into this bottom lane, Kronos versus Kraken. Kraken has actually had to fly out 500 gold worth of regen so far in this game. And Kronos, instead opting for the bottle himself, wanted to go for the bottom rune. But that's being covered very effectively by Empath and Parasite.
Yeah.
And, well, looks like Kronos is definitely going to have a hard time filling up that bottle anytime soon here.
Well, that was also very important by State Green right there, too, because not only do they protect that bottom rune, but they spotted the triple stack Ancients that were spawned right there for Sync Esports. Wonder if that's definitely going to come into play. Meanwhile, middle lane, Pestilence in some trouble once again. Essence Link going to be coming out. He's trying not to take the stun. He will have to take it, but the Ophelia's touch comes out. And now perhaps a turn chance? No. Wretched Hag is going to join the party as well, and Pestilence just going to fall back all the way. So I don't even know if the Ophelia's touch was 100% necessary, but if anything, it did kind of throw them off from actually going for it. Meanwhile, Ophelia catches Wretched Hag, who was running on by, going towards the middle lane, eventually falls back, but is going to be fine. Takes a good amount of damage, so double Catman champion nukes will do that, I guess, but in the end, is going to be fine. Has that Invis rune heading back towards the middle lane here. We'll see.
Yeah, and Ophelia did see Swindlemelons activate that Invis, so we'll see if they get any rev wards down here. No, the Courier's actually out with no revs, and Pestilence and Torture not able to set up any kind of stuns into the Catman champions. So definitely continuing to look pretty good here, and that middle lane momentum is being really just compounded by the ability to cover these runes, making sure that Kronos doesn't have any regen. It's allowed Kraken to actually get back into this lane down here. So
yeah,
looking good, and now Sync's going to be relying pretty heavily on this Corrupted Disciple up top, who's still not farming amazing. 315 gold per minute, with Swindlemelons having rotated quite a bit. You definitely want to be a little bit higher.
Well, you look at the strength of this lineup as a whole here from Sync Esports. It really shines where they're all about the team fight, especially sooner than later. They have a Chronosphere ready to go. They have Ophelia. She's level 7 now. She's got the level 4 command. Of course, they've been able to take her for 3 minions here. Corrupted Disciple, it's not, overwhelming start by any means, but it is solid. He's at 322. Meanwhile, middle lane, actually, Parasite going to be facing on a Pestilence right there, trying to finish him off. Torture trying to turn on a Drunken Master in the meantime. They will get the turn kill, but basically a 1-for-1 exchange at the same time right there. Will there be more? The Ophelia minions are healed. The Minotaur stun hits. Kraken, he has to release the Kraken. Will it get it off? No, he cannot. The Chronosphere comes in, and that's exactly what we're talking about right there. But a counter Bat Plus going to be used by State Green, specifically Swindlemelons, and at least gets the counter kill on a Torture. And I think that might be the end. She does have a double damage rune, but Kronos is just a little bit too much alive here, and I don't see Wretched Hag going for the all-out dive here, especially with that rewind proc possibly coming into play. There's a port coming in. They want to still go right here. Oh, it gets the bash block. There's the impale stun, perfectly executed by Sync Esports, and that's all about obviously doing the math, and they knew he had the stun ready to go. They took advantage of that.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, Breaky, and get that stun right there. So that was just a little bit of a greedy situation from Swindlemelons, really. He should have known that there could have been the possibility of a reinitiation, knowing that there's, of course, that tower there that Pestilence could have TP'd to. So maybe didn't expect it, but he pays for it. And Sync at least recovering something after that team fight, and that actually puts them a little bit into a resource advantage. So they're certainly able to recover a little bit after a botched team fight.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing to note about that fight, too, was that Corrupted Disciple wasn't there that whole time. He was actually still at the top lane, continuing to pick up farm. So the fact that it went as well as it did for Sync Esports, especially with that kill to finish it off, I mean, you look at the big picture now. Hell, the GPM chart for one. Before that fight, it was well more in favor of State Green. Now it's in fact in favor of Sync Esports, if anything. But again, middle lane initiation going to be taking place right here. Face coming out. There's the Ophelia's touch once again though, and Pestilence has the stun coming out. The sun's lasted a little too long though, and the wall off will make it so he's just going to go back to farming. But that's now several times where they've gone for a kill on Mickey here playing the Pestilence, and they've been unable to do so because of the Ophelia's touch mainly. And now Ophelia's assisting push here at the top lane. So it seems like Sync Esports is starting to get that pace of let's get the team fight presence going and make that work here. So
yeah, with Corrupted Disciple getting some Mystic Vestments at the side, he's going to be maybe a little bit more ready for battle. But with no ultimate on Ophelia, this can be a little bit of a dangerous push. Just kidding. She just got an Astrolabe delivered. So perhaps the biggest item when it comes to team fighting and pushing in the early stages. Astrolabe will allow her to really continue pushing if she had wanted to. But Swindlemelons nuked down the creep wave, and she's like, all right, we don't need to force this right now. Just going to head into the jungle, take another stack, allow CD to farm out the wave, and then get back in there once more.
Yeah. Middle lane, Kronos is sitting here with an Invis rune. He has a Chronosphere, of course. They're really trying to time it. Here we go. He goes with the bash proc. Pestilence coming to 12. There is a port coming in now. Impale. He's going to try to not stagger at the best or stagger at the worst. He will stagger it pretty good right there. They get the kill, but at what cost coming out now? Essence Drink going to be coming out on a Pestilence. He will end up falling. Empath takes a stun from Kronos, but Kronos just running away, not much more to be said. So a 1-for-1 exchange right there. You can tell Pestilence initially was a little not really wanting to go as soon as he saw the TPs, but he did end up going. He did a great job of waiting waiting to use that Impale Stun, I will say that, and that was definitely the big difference maker, I think.
Yeah.
But it did also put him in that position to get counter-killed.
I think that's still going to be just fine for Sync. They're going to be able to take the tower up top. They forced 3 TPs into the middle lane, and, well, now Torture is actually trying to engage. Can he get the Parasite? He will, and it looks like the Electric Tide could come again. Yep, counter kill onto one. Wretched Hag able to blink on out of there. So a 1-for-1 exchange, but a tower kill favoring Sync in that top lane. They might have gotten a little bit of a better end out of that exchange.
Yeah, I think it definitely Sync Esports did, not only with the exchange of the heroes, Parasite for a Torture they'll take, but obviously, as you mentioned, the tower kills we saw. So, Sync Esports, no doubt, getting comfortable control. Again, that's what it's going to take about the teamfight presence. They're making it work here. Chessie's actually counter-warding here in the middle lane. I like how he just kind of staggered in a counter-ward right there. And Pestilence even threw out the stun, but Jessie didn't even care. He knew what the numbers were. He knew that was just him, and he was by all means fine. In fact, he already has the two not plate mails, but ring mails here coming out. So, of course, well on the way to a Soul's Bulwark, which is very good for Drunken Master in general, but even more so against the likes of a Pestilence here. Definitely, like to see that pickup, of course, coming out for the Legion team. But, again, with these team fights continuing to be more of a issue here that Staker's going to have to deal with, obviously getting those items as soon as possible. Very important. Corrupted Disciple, though, he's sitting on 2,300 gold now. I think it's probably safe to say the Shrunken Head first makes sense here, but we'll see. Did he buy something? Okay, no, it's going to be Energizer.
I think it's going to be Energizer.
Okay, but we'll see. I think it has to be the Shrunken Head follow-up. You agree? Or okay, it goes Quickblade, actually.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure that he needs the Shrunken Head, at least immediately right here. It's going to help out a lot against heroes like the Wretched Hag, but right now Kronos is in trouble in the bottom lane. Release the Kraken is going to be used. The rewind's not enough. So he'll be taken out by the 3 right there. So a good setup, and we'll see now if Sync actually chooses to try to push out the middle lane in response. But, yeah, that Shrunken Head, it's really not going to do a whole lot against somebody like this Drunken Master, who's going to be the primary hero trying to kill this Corrupted Disciple. It's not going to do a whole lot against the Kraken Ultimate. It might save you from a little bit, but I think with this kind of farm, you probably want to get maybe one more item before you go for that Shrunken Head as your second or third.
Yeah. Well, yeah, again, he is going the Firebrand here, it looked like, with that Quickblade purchase. So will that then be the Geometer's Bane, the Frost Burn, or will it then be a Shuriken? We'll see. What was that, though?
That's the portal key on Kraken. He's been able to recover very effectively, up to 390 gold per minute, and the top in the game here, just ahead of Ophelia. That portal key has definitely been the more favored item on Kraken recently, and if Limp's going to be able to set up some nice stuns with that, good Tsunami charges back into the team, that's going to be the way that Stay Green will be able to effectively engage in these team fights.
Yeah. We do see Krakens every now and then go that, actually, hold that thought. We got Corrupted Disciple finding an engagement right here. Wretched Hag, she is going to be able to run away. Empath obviously going inside of Wretched Hag to make sure that she was going to be fine. That was more of a defensive, I got to get out of here, so help me do so kind of ability used. But they're still
got to be careful, yeah.
Yeah, they had a Skeleton King, actually. They have a Skeleton King. I'm surprised Hag's playing as aggressive as she is. The Skeleton King net comes out, all of a sudden she's going to be locked down, and that could be a kill easily. So is going to be fine, though. In the end, I was gonna say though about what was I talking about? Oh, about Kraken. Going that portal key, I love seeing that. It gets an initiation tool. Obviously, they have the Soulsborg on Drunken. We do see them sometimes go the early Helm of the Black Legion, but yeah, I think for here they want that gotcha potential. They want to catch Sync Esports off guard. In fact, they're gonna go for it right here. There's that charge, and exactly what I was talking about. Torture gets picked off, and off to the side, Corrupted Disciple. He's going to be gone out. He split up from his team completely. Kronos is here, but he could not really do much to help him. So an interesting decision coming out from Corrupted, simply panic mode, and ended up getting cut off, and, well, that's going to the point. Portal key, huge here for Kraken.
Yeah, and you talked about that split up right there, and I'm not exactly sure what that was about. Kronos was, of course, coming from that direction, and maybe CDU was saying Kronos with the Chronosphere will be able to help me more than anything else. And I think Keizu had the opportunity to get like a perfectly placed Chronosphere, and that might have been able to save Corrupted Disciple. Instead, choosing not to use it, saying maybe he wasn't confident enough, or maybe he just wants to save the cooldown to take another engagement here in the next minute and a half or so. But in any case, a very big kill on the Corrupted Disciple, and Stay Green's able to get out of there without any casualties and defending their tower. That's a huge shift in momentum and something that SG really needed.
Yeah, and I was going to say, definitely needing that portal key themselves now on Sync Esports, and sure enough, they have it here on Pestilence. It is going to be delivered. So now that gives them that extra over-the-top initiation presence here, of course, with Pestilence. You got some good follow from Kronos, if anything, vice versa, too. And then working out from there. But, yeah, clearly, their Portacan Kraken, a big presence, showing it that last fight. And they're going to be all about, we're going to jump you first. We're not going to let you get that strong initiation off and make things awkward for you. But look at this train here from Sync Esports. All 5 of them just hugging one another, getting their best Stay Green impression here. They clean up the Ancients, and now they're going to push the bottom lane. In the meantime, I assume this first tower is pretty much going to be given up. They're just going to counter push here. It's Stay Green.
Well, yeah, I mean, Stay Green certainly looks like they don't want to have anything to do with the defense, but Pestilence just TP'd back into the middle lane, so he's making sure that Stay Green's not going to be able to take this one unless they kill him first, which is a distinct possibility. Kraken moving forward has the portal key available, and Pesty going to have to hide in the tower. So SG, they're going to go ahead and counter push indeed.
Yeah, they're going to put a little bit of presence here. They know that something could possibly be set up, though, so they're not going to go outright by any means. In fact, Drunken Master is going to be jump right here. Will they get the follow-up in time to matter? Stagger's coming out. There's the wall off, so no. The answer is absolutely not. The support could not get there in time. And instead, they'll just now push out the middle lane, perhaps, as Ophelia, she is still, okay, yeah, she's in the jungle here, so heading over there if need be. But at least Wretched Hag is able to kind of push the top lane. I was going to say the Bat Blast wasn't up yet, though, which is even more of a reason why they maybe didn't engage in a bottom fight. But now it is up. So now I'm curious. What is Stay Green going to do here? How's the TP situation? It looks like they are good to go across the board. Other than Drunken Master, actually, okay, he's back at base. That's why. So it's going to happen too quickly, though. That tower just melts away with that push presence, a.k.a. Ophelia. And the tower is gone. So they're going to work into the base now. Obviously, this is where Stay Green has to respond here.
Yeah, you would certainly think so. The tower is dropping relatively quick. The key player here is, of course, going to be Swindlebones, who's up in the top lane when he decides to port back. But instead, Ophelia is going to choose to send home somebody. I believe that's Corrupted Disciple. And here comes the TP. They might try to go for the chase on Swindlebones. No, instead just going to go for the farm. With the portal key on Pestilence and, of course, the time leap into an ultimate from Kronos, I thought they might have had a chance, but Swindle able to get out of there with plenty of time to spare.
Yeah. I think it's just kind of an interesting position because both teams are kind of running that try-carry strategy. I mean, you got a Hag, Kraken, and Drunken over here on the Legion side, then you got a Pestilence, Kronos, Corrupted Disciple here on the Hellborn side. So I think it's safe to say both teams have that very strong late-game presence. I don't think there's a clear victor on either side when it comes to that. So whether or not you want to play the sit-back-and-farm game, whether you want to play the we need to make things happen sooner than later, it's really a lot of just simply comes down to if we get that situation, if we find the opportunity, we're going to maybe go for it, but we're not going to force it. And I think that one of those situations might be coming up here. You see Pestilence, he wants to go in. Ooh, the Skeleton King net going to be avoided right there. Drunken Master, actually, though. He is now chasing Empath inside. There's a charge for Kraken. Pestilence with the big counter shot, though. Corrupted Disciple holding his ground, trying to take out Kraken. The release of Kraken doing work, but not enough. Down goes Kraken right there. Pestilence going to be pulled in, but the Kronos 3 now coming out. Drunken Master is caught, as well as Wretched Hag. Drunken Master is going to melt down, and now Empath completely vulnerable. The wall off going to cause some issues right here, but no doubt Sync Esports still looking pretty strong. They do lose Corrupted Disciple, though, off to the side as he got taken out, and so is Ophelia down. But Wretched Hag, can't she blink away in time? She's going to blink into their base right here, and it's going to be the saving grace. Wow.
Well
Very
played.
good decision.
Really, really well played by Swindle. That's what really prevented that fight from becoming a little bit of a disaster, losing the Drunken Master and the Kraken. If you lose all 3 of your carries in a tri-core, you are in a pretty bad shape after coming out of that. Instead, they're able to get Hag and Empath out of there because they chased Hag instead of Empath and get the tower. So that ends up working out a lot better for Stay Green than they probably had any right to. And they come out of that one sitting pretty okay with counter kills onto Corrupted Disciple and, of course, stopping Ophelia's momentum. That's one of the biggest things you can do, is putting a stop to Ophelia's momentum by killing her creeps and forcing a little bit of a reset on the situation.
Yeah. Yeah, she has a Shaman's headdress, by the way, so obviously the barrier out in the works here, and that's going to be very effective against the likes of especially that Wretched Hag here for their side, but I'm almost questioning that a little bit and wondering if a Soul's Bulwark might have been a better choice here. I think it is one of those cases, though, you'd rather have it on the hero like Pestilence, maybe, or even that Corrupted Disciple, so I can see why, I guess, from that perspective. But I think that physical presence is almost scarier, even at this point, than the magical presence right now. So, in the end, though, again, I do get that. You know, maybe we'll see it on the Pestilence later on. But he is going to be going for a Shrunken Head first, and of course, Corrupted Disciple. We'll see what he goes for next. But in the meantime, actually, Drunken Master is going to be jump right. A quick burst down right there. Again, that's the jump potential that Sync Esports also has. So both teams have a good amount of it. It's just a matter of who they can catch. And simply put, Sync Esports got the advantage there. And this is going to be a free tower kill now. I mean, Drunken does have a buyback, but it's not going to be worth it here.
Yeah, unlikely that they're going to want to take a team fight outside of their base. If they do go base, you might see that buyback. But instead, they're just going to go ahead and take down the Tier 2 and the triple stack Ancient Steel. That's going to be really big. The port back of Kronos to town, allowing him to get a little bit of regen. That allows him to then port into the Tier 2 tower to stop the split pushing from Swindle Melons. And Sync definitely gaining a little bit of momentum right there. As I'm not really sure how that pick on Chessie really came to be. Maybe just not paying attention, not good map awareness. But there was nobody that was on the map from Sync for quite some time. All the wards had kind of expired.
Exactly. I think it's, you look at the wards right
Bottom
now.
lane, by the way.
Oh yeah, we do see a Wall Hunter coming in. Kronos, there's a face hug. Holy comes the burst, but the rewind coming into play. Will it be enough? The Ophelia's touch.
Moly.
And welcome to Kronos, ladies and gentlemen. The rewind coming through. Kronos Spear coming out. Is this going to be a counter kill situation? Now they blink in with Torture. It gets caught, but he gets a chain reaction off still. And now Red Jack forced to blink away. Very, very safe. Will be fine, but yeah, that's just one of those.
Had a TP, that would have been a kill on both those players.
Probably.
Unfortunately, no TP available on Pesty as he just vendors something, and I think there's actually a TP being delivered right now. Yep, there most certainly is. Mickey saying, won't be fooled again.
Need to get that. But no, as I was going, yeah, that was, again, rewind, just, it's crazy ability. What I was going to talk about, though, the Ward of Sights. You look at what Stake Green has right now with Ward of Sights. They're very aggressive. They're in the Hellborn jungle right here. So you talk about how we got ganked in the middle lane. They don't really have any on their side of the map unless, other than this one they just placed recently here on the bottom side. So obviously that's where they got in that sneaky position. Sure, they were missing for a while, but it's not like he was pushed out far either. He's just simply just beyond his tower. So he felt safe, wasn't in the end. Ophelia's going to cut her, but another counter stand coming out of the face. Not going to be used out, and down it goes Ophelia. She did not use her barrier at all. And that's
or Astrolabe.
Or Astrolabe. Yeah, that's, I don't know about that. I mean, she was not perplexed by any means, so she had a chance there to definitely use it. So I'm kind of curious about Zlap not using those abilities, to which would have ultimately kept her alive definitely at that point.
Yeah, it's one thing if she had had a buyback available and wanted to be able to get back in the fight, but she doesn't have a buyback right now, so both those would have been up by the time that she resurrects, and in any case, definitely not going to be able to be participating in the next team fight, but it looks like Pestilence kind of wants to go in. I think this is folly here from Sync if they choose to initiate on this. I think they just need to fall back and make sure nobody gets caught out here.
Yeah, they wanna poke in. You got support live and laugh on the edge. Yeah, it really is. He ain't afraid of no ghosts. Oh, cracking the tsunami charge. Gonna miss, though. That split the uprights, man.
That is so gutsy and reckless, in my opinion. Like, if somebody had gotten hit by that, that very well could have been a pick or two, meaning a base tower or even racks for Stay Green. I have no clue why they felt the need to be up there.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like one of those cases, yeah, that could have definitely backfired big time for no really benefit at all, but it didn't really backfire in the end, so that's good for Sync Esports. But so I'm
wait for your next items, man.
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking. Speaking of that, I'm thinking of this late game presence more and more. And so I was talking about earlier, they both kind of have that tri-carry presence. So you know, it's either or for either team. But I honestly, the more I'm thinking about it, I like Sync Esports. I mean, basically because of that team presence once again. Obviously, Ophelia, she continues to scale very well, not only with her minion presence, but her items, especially that she brings to the table, and then Ophelia's touch. And then you got the double Chronosphere. It's going to be coming out here shortly for Kronos, and that, of course, is a huge, huge deal for this Hellborn team. So I think right now, I mean, despite the slight advantage being in favor of Stay Green according to numbers, I think Sync Esports is still in that comfortable spot, at least in terms of they might even feel like they're ahead, and for good reason.
Yeah, I think that I'm right there with you. Sync Esports is definitely in a pretty good position right now, and until we get to this point, really going into like the 40-45 minute mark, where Ophelia does start to taper off, where she's not always going to have the available minions to dominate, when those minions aren't going to be as powerful in respect to what everybody else is bringing to the table, then you might be able to say that she's going to die off. But so far, Slapped has been doing a fantastic job in this game, 4-2-2, helping his team set up numerous tower pushes and gain the economic lead. So he's doing just fine. Now, the one thing about this Chronos field that is maybe a little bit that does limit the power of the double Chronos field is that you've got your secondary carry is going to be a Pestilence, a melee hero, and then of course your primary carry is going to be a shorter ranged carry. It means that the positioning on those Chrono fields are going to be even more important. So if Casey's able to get those down right, no problems. But if he even messes up a little bit, the rest of the damage might not be able to get there.
Yeah, it obviously is one of those abilities that it could definitely backfire as much as it could help you to situations. But safe to say, Casey does have plenty of experience playing the hero, but it still doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect every time. So yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on that, obviously. And you know, we've even talked about it in the past where he has gone the Staff of the Master follow-up, and I would not be surprised to see that here.
Yeah.
Honestly, especially because of that situation once again. So, I was gonna say, what is Chessie gonna be going for? But he ends up, he was sitting on about 3,500 gold, and then they right-click that demonic breastplate. So he has a full demonic breastplate now, which is obviously huge. But you know, we'll see how much of an impact that does. You know, thinking about could he maybe gone for that shrunken head, which I honestly thought he might have been going for the way he's saving up his money. But you do got that double chronosphere. Shrunken head does nearly nothing in that. So I guess from that point of view, it's like I might as well get tanky while I get caught by that than anything. Oh, speaking of shrunken head.
Oh, there it is. Curse the 10-second shrunken head.
Limp wants to show it off. Well, there you go.
I'm a big golden diver.
Oops.
Easy.
That's kind of silly.
One day, Breaky, one day we will see players not be afflicted by the curse of the 10-second shrunken head. But today is not that day.
Yeah. Necessary handicap, I guess. This is a big timing right here, because Corrupted Disciple, he just about has his shrunken head. If they get involved in a fight, it's going to be pretty interesting, and I think he should be able to pick it up, though. Yeah, they're not going to find a jump right here, so he should have it. Haste, we're not drunken, though. You can tell Stay Green really is trying now. They feel like this is their prime spot. They just got the Grimoire, they got that Demonic, they got the Shrunken Head, although it has a 30-second cooldown. This is their time, so we'll see if Stay Green can make an impact here.
Yeah, they're certainly getting a little bit more aggressive as they go for Ancient Stack Steel. Torture is in position, and Corrupted Disciple Ophelia are here as well. Kronos is on the way, but Stay Green, they're saying day late and a dollar short, guys. We got your creeps and we got out smooth. And now they might even look to reinitiate as Drunken Master and Kraken are hanging off to the side. It's Wild Hunter inside of Parasite inside of a Wild Hunter as well. But they're playing the deadly dance around the Concord pit, waiting for one team to make a mistake so they can get the favorable initiation.
Yeah, it's we see that very tense situation. Two of the top-tier teams right now in the world going at it, and it's continued to be a very, very even game number one here. It really has been. I mean, all through, I don't think it's been bigger than a 3,000 gold they're experiencing on either side, it feels like. So, and now we are 28 minutes into the game. So, yeah, no initiation in the end, though. Both teams end up kind of falling back from one another as far as that's concerned, and they'll just be fine kind of farming out their side of the map once again. I will say, though, against Stay Green there, and as I was going to say, doing a good job of keeping out those very aggressive wards. However, they are able to counterward it with the Bound Eye on Ophelia, and we'll see if they get this one, too. It's not going to be used just yet, so I won't be able to here. But so Sync, they're going to push back the lanes, but something tells me they're probably going to push all the way. I was going to say maybe they want to try to go around that Congo a bit, but it's a tough spot to be in. Congo's blind on both sides, really, at this point, though, so this might be that chance. We'll see. The Drunken is going to show himself bottom, and they know Wretched Egg's top for the time being. So, they're going to gank. They want this.
Yeah,
Drunken.
They're energized down here. Kronos going to go in for the first hit. Bash will use the Chrono Field instead. And there's the bugs going up from Pestilence. The stun lock is real, Breaky.
Yeah. Absolutely worth the Chronosphere, of course. Especially since he has two. A huge kill on a Drunken Master. So the gank now, this is going to be a Conger kill. And now he does have that buyback, so if anything, it will force up buybacks. It may not be a guaranteed Conger kill by any means, but I think he's going to buy back here. Yeah, they're going to force it, if anything. Maybe not even. Stay Green might just be like, you know what? Screw it. It happened. Let's just be done with it. Not waste a buyback. Sync isn't really playing the most aggressive, though, on Conger. I don't know about this.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure either. Maybe they're not feeling confident in their vision situation, or maybe they're just saying, hey, this sets us up with a risk. And I would agree that taking Kongor is a risk right there. that if they do get initiated on in a real sick way, they could very well lose any kind of a lead that they have and maybe even lose some racks, saying they don't need to take the risk right now. They feel comfortable enough in the spot that they can keep making the safe plays and continue to get further ahead in this game.
Yeah. Again, I know it's easier for a spectator to sit here and say they should have done it. Because we have all the vision in the world and they don't. But I don't know. I just feel like if anything, make the buyback happen, because even if they initiate on you and the fight starts, if he buys back right away with that, it still takes him a good amount of time. They don't have any outer towers in that area. He would have basically had to run from base to get to there. So I think Sync Esports definitely missed out on a big opportunity, honestly, especially with, again, this being such an even game right now. That could definitely go either way. But, what's done is done, so we'll see moving forward. Speaking of that, look at Corrupted Disciple. A glowstone picked up. Are we going to see a Staff of the Master? I mean, it's definitely been known as it's a solid choice here on Corrupted.
Yeah, I mean, when the opposing team is stacking armor against you, the Staff of the Masters gains viability. When it's pulsing more often, reducing more armor, it's definitely something that's going to be very strong. With the Sackstone and a Demonic, as well as Plated Greaves on the other team, I mean, you got the Ring of the Teacher up as well. There's a lot of armor stacking going on. And in addition to that, just a strong item. It's going to continue to make Corrupted Disciple nice and tanky, giving him additional HP. And that's really where the CD might die, is being bursted down while inside of a Kraken ultimate. Getting hit with a big Bat Blast or a Codex, getting more max HP is really going to allow him to stay alive, because the sustained damage isn't necessarily there. It's really the burst that CD has to worry about.
Yeah. So they are going to go for Congo now. Now, obviously, there's a ward of sight in the Congo pit, so State Green is very, very aware of the situation. In fact, they're going to try to cut them off. Empath's going to be caught right here. Can he ulti? No! In comes Fear. Drunken Master. This is going to pay off big time here for Sync Esports, as Drunken Master was hanging around. He's going to get caught out. He's going to be Skeleton King netted. He will eventually be finished off. Now, Torturer actually gets caught up in the background. She was kind of distracting, if anything, but definitely an exchange, once again, that Sync Esports is more than fine with. And now, again, they're going to go for Congo, and this time should absolutely be a Congo kill. Maybe not. Buybacks happen. So here we go. Now, Congo is very low, and again, he doesn't have any teleports or any towers to go to. They're not going to force it, though. They do have another Chronosphere. They have their other cooldowns. I don't know. I just think that now, at least they did get the buybacks to be used. So
yeah. I think that's perfectly fine right there. You wait 45 seconds and you got double bubble on Kronos. If Stay Green tries to steal this, Kronos can activate that Restoration Stone and go for it. And I think that's going to be exactly what happens. Nice wall, though. That might actually be what Stay Green needs.
Yeah, that is huge. Here we go, though. Kronos coming in. Chronosphere Kraken winning as well. It's a split fight right here. Chronosphere locking down Drunken Master, but he doesn't have the most damage follow-up. Corrupted Disciple going to be joining the party, though. And now Drunken Master needs to run. Pestilence going in further. Wretched Hat going to be that target choice. Will they be able to burst her down? No, they won't. She's able to point away. Corrupted Disciple gets bursted down, though, in the background. Drunken Master tanking like a boss, using that stagger. He is still alive. He finally will be killed. Pestilence comes back in. Corrupted Disciples now buying back in the midst of it, though. The Pampas comes flying out. And right now, it's favor of Stay Green. Ophelia, the only target left. Oh, no, Kronos is actually back, though. He buys back, and he's looking to port in at least help Ophelia here and maybe go for another turn cut. But again, Congo is so low still. Oh, man, what an intense situation to be in. That was a crazy fight, specifically because of both teams initiating at the same time, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, that was 100% Z-Freak. That wall was amazing. Knowing that that's where the player would be, being able to deactivate the portal key and set up a beautiful Kraken ultimate is really exactly what they needed. And now, well, Parasite's coming back in once more. Ophelia in trouble. The wall is there. Ophelia ultimate going out. Kronos is going to be able to take Conquer here. Will he get the token? Yes, he will. Here comes Kraken, though. So Ophelia is going to go down in the pit. So they get the Kongor kill and the token, but at a cost, Breaky.
Yeah, I mean, Ophelia obviously dies. She did drop a bounty on top of that, so a little bit of a good cost right there for Sync Esports. Still think it's worth it, though. I mean, that was a good job of distracting, if anything. And finally, Conger goes down, and obviously it's in favor of Sync Esports. Again, though, what a crazy fight overall that was in the end. But so Kronos has a token alive. I think that's another thing, though, to note, though, with getting the Conger kill on the token. They got it on Kronos, which honestly, I don't know if that's who they would have preferred it on in the end. I'm sure they would have preferred it on Corrupted Disciple. Because of the circumstances, though, Kronos basically had to pick it up, preventing Stay Green from getting it. So that's where it's like, okay, they finally got Conqueror, but really, is that the biggest deal in the world? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. And I think if you're State Green, honestly, you could even argue that overall they had the better time with the way the fight ended up shaping up in the end. But Parasite, actually, he might get caught out here. He's somehow going to be able to burst speed away. The leech coming into play. Big release of Kraken to cut off Kronos. Pestilence trying to chase, though. He has that swarm up, so they're going to be able to see Parasite now. He puts the leech out once again. And I think Minuts is going to be fine. The Codex even turning around says, no portal key for you. There's the face hug. He's doing everything he can. Is he actually going to survive? Can he dodge this? No, he cannot. And Parasite will finally be picked off. That was a hell of a job, though. In terms of trying to survive.
It was a hell of a kill steal.
That was.
Kronos getting credit for that one. And State Green, they were not feeling confident to try to save their player right there. That was a massive extension from Sync and SG. They really didn't want to do anything there. They instead are able to counter push the top and middle creep waves, so they're able to get quite a bit of farm from that. But definitely an interesting choice. I guess they just felt like they couldn't take that team fight, and I'm not sure that's the case. I felt like they could have, maybe.
I think, well, yeah, when you look at the numbers again, I think Drunken Master and Hack were both at the top side. Yeah, they could have poured it in and tried to, I think it was, they maybe thought he was dead even a lot sooner, but he did do a great job of, as we saw, making sure that the portal key wasn't going to be able to use for as long as possible before finally dying. So yeah, we could have had a turn chance, but in the end, does get picked off, and they just counter push elsewhere and clean up some resources on the side of Sync Esports. I mean, you do look at, speaking of resources, the overall lead. Again, it's I think even you could argue the biggest lead now that State Green has had this whole game. The 3,300 gold lead on top of a 7,000 experience lead. So,
in terms of resources, yeah.
Yeah, in terms of that, exactly.
I would still say this game is pretty even, slightly in favor of Sync at this point. Although, I mean, Sonomelons is kind of doing what he does on Wretched Hag, which is be involved in team fights, land the spells when he needs to, and constantly farm and push out the other waves. He's 485 gold per minute, Breaky.
Yeah.
Like, he is very, very farmed. By far the highest gold per minute in this game, but he consistently is able to fly under the radar. And he does exactly what a Wretched Hag player needs to do from this position. Remember, he came from the suicide lane. Came from a position where he was sub 200 gold per minute against a Corrupted Disciple, forced to roam, but he's just had such excellent map presence, and he's been able to find the farm everywhere so that he's been able to recover. He's the one thing that's keeping State Green in this game.
Yeah, most certainly, and obviously willing to wait to something like a sheep stick, very, very impactful to have, so we'll definitely be looking to pick that up sooner than later. Speaking of more item pickups, Abyssal Skull just finished on Limp, actually. So, again, this team is especially really big on just needing those team support items. And Abyssal Skull, a good one at that. And Kraken going to pick that up for the team. He's got a good core items going here. The Shrunken Head, the Portal Key, and, of course, that Abyssal Skull now on top of that. What are we going to see on Kronos and especially Corrupted Disciple? Again, that's what I keep going back to. I think Kronos is in kind of a funky place. Okay, well, there you go. He does go the Staff of the Master. I was going to say, as much as I maybe saw that coming, I look at this almost as a case of were they going to maybe want damage on him in the end? I mean, going the Resto Stone first almost, you can kind of argue maybe it would hurt that choice if he was to kind of try to transition into more of a damage focus. So I guess that's where it's like he really had to kind of stick to his roots here,
Well,
but...
I mean, yes and no. Resto Stone actually gives a ton of damage, 42 damage and 10 attack speed. Like,
Yeah.
It's certainly not insignificant, but the Staff of the Master definitely going more toward that gimmicky Staff of the Master, Resto's double bubble build. But I agree with you. I think that Kronos definitely could use a little bit of damage because at this point, Pestilence is not performing his duties as semi-carry.
Yeah.
0 kills to his name, just barely hanging on there at 300 gold per minute when your team has had a massive tower advantage. You'd like to see this Pesty be a little bit further along. You'd like him to be getting close to that demonic breastplate right now, and that's something that's going to be significantly far off here for Pestilence as he just sold something. What is he buying here? Oh, it's just a TP. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, as we've seen throughout this game, and as it's pretty notable with especially the item pickups and whatnot, the burst damage potential is a lot better on this Legion side. State Green, especially with that Drunken Master, obviously Parasite thrown in there, Kraken with the splash auto attack, can assist with some really good damage, and then even the Bat Blast on top of that from Wretched Hag, of course. So I think it's safe to say it's in favor of State Green. Again, that goes back to just more so Sync Esports. They got hell of a team fight presence, especially now with double staff of the Master on both Corrupted Disciple and Kronos. But when it comes to overall damage output, is it going to be enough? They got the lockdown for it, so in that sense you think that it would be. But that's going to be interesting to see. Again, they have the token of life on Kronos, so he is able to play a little more aggressive here. He's got about a minute now remaining on it. And he's going to be at the front lines. Counter push at the bottom lane in the meantime. No, those are just illusions there that are left behind. And Sanitarius, by the way, purchased by Drunken Master.
And a sheep on Hag.
Yep. So no buybacks, so that's important to note.
Yeah, they're all in right now on winning this team fight, and it's really going to come down to the initiation. Look for Kraken with that charge, or Kronos.
Here we go. Chronosphere coming in, locking down Drunken Master, stunning the Kraken in the background. Drunken Master, he is going to be bursted down right there. Hell of a start. Second Chronosphere coming out,
Beautiful.
but Kronos will end up falling. No, he's going to barely stay alive. Again, he has a token, though, but Kraken is doing his best with Wretched Hag right here to hold their ground. Corrupted Disciple, though, the conduit charges. We're added up, doing plenty of damage. That melee Rax is going to end up falling right here. And as we said, they were kind of old in. They do not have buybacks. It is just Hag and Parasite. But yeah, good execution definitely on the part of Sync Esports there.
And there's the first hit bash onto Wretched Hag. She's going to be able to blink away. The turnaround kills. Corrupted Disciple goes down.
Wow.
And will Parasite actually be able to get out of here? Screw it. He doesn't want to run. Here comes the sheepstick onto Ophelia. Parasite looking to go in for once more. And, well, it's going to be Kronos ported back to base as Ophelia will go down with the ship.
Yeah.
Swinamons and Bynuts, they're able to make it work right there. With a single buyback on Parasite, they get some counter kills and really, really necessary ones at that.
Yeah, so that obviously was big time. But as I said, Parasite especially brings the burst damage. And that definitely came into play right there. Corrupted Disciple all of a sudden just dropped when we thought the fight was going to start, was just going to continue to be more and more in favor of Sync Esports, and before you know it, they're pushing them out. Now, again, big picture, Sync did get the melee racks. They don't have any buybacks used other than the earlier on Kronos buyback, whereas Stay Green, they've now used 4 across the board. And, again, they're down to melee racks. So I still think Sync Esports overall, again, is feeling good about that, but at least Stay Green got a bit of momentum there to finish. And most certainly the end result, though, is that this is still a game. I mean, there's still anything could happen. And by all means, any team has a chance here. So the execution, though, again, from Sync Esports, it was very good. The Chronosphere is obviously big plays. They got the jump they were looking for, I think it's safe to say. And Drunken Master, he died right off the bat. I mean, the fact that they did as good as they did, though, on Stay Green with Drunken Master dying off the bat, I think also does say something.
Oh, yeah. I think Drunken Master, he's really not the most important factor on this SG team. Instead, decent positioning and just being able to land spells on multiple targets, being able to stay alive is what's keeping SG in this, as they now take high ground advantage. And, okay, Drunken Master, he's a pretty good tower pusher. When you got the Demonic and the Insanitarius activated, Glyph going to save the tower for now. Kronos and Torture on the backside here, Breaky. They do have the double bubble.
There we go. Stun on the Parasite. However, counter stun coming out. Kraken goes in. Chronosphere with that bubble in the background. Wretched not going to be locked out. Looks like they want to focus him, but the damage output not the most right now. Corrupted Disciple in the meantime. He buys back. He's looking to come back in. It's already got bursted down. He's going to come into the fight. Shrunken is up. The second bubble. They get Parasite killed. Wretched locked down. No, she blinks away just before, but the hold is going to be successful for Sync Esports in the end. Kraken falls. Hag is able to pour it out as well as Empath surviving. But again, the hold is successful. So despite Flensmeister dropping off the bat himself, he buys back immediately, and definitely a big presence for turning things around there in that fight. And again, the buyback situation, Drunken doesn't have one, and Kraken does, though. So we'll see what they're able to make happen here. Looks like they are going to go for a counter push now in the middle lane. As Chronos spots something, by the way. Wow, that's a full Shrunken head. Holy crap.
So he's going to be living, but he's still dealing no damage. You saw both of the bubbles, a total of, 12 seconds of lockdown onto Wretched Hag in that last team fight, and Hag never dropped below 50% with Torture and Kronos wailing on her the entire time. She's just extremely tanky, and I believe he even had the Empath with a Essence link up that was actually healing her up a little bit. There's the last buyback from Limp, so able to force that one out. Good job by Sync. But speaking of buybacks, the Corrupted Disciple had been forced to use one in the last team fight, and that's kind of a situation in which I would have preferred that Ophelia had a Storm Spirit instead of having the Soul's Bulwark that she has right now. You've got a prime target for a Souls and a Demonic in either the Kronos or the Pestilence. Pestilence instead going for an Axe of the Malphite towards something like a Behemoth's Heart.
Oh, wow.
I think that a Storm Spirit would have been a huge pickup on Ophelia if she had allowed the Souls to go to a different hero.
Yeah, Axel and Malphite into an eventual. Well,
They're
actually,
going in.
Yeah, here we go. Conger going to be attempted, but Kraken says, no, you're not. Chronos going to be locked down. Regidag beating into him as well, but out comes the Chronosphere, and Chronos is going to be fine for now. Parasite on the outskirts, though. He's looking to assist with his burst. He gets the torture initiation on, but another bubble coming out, and once again, the lockdown is successful for Sync Esports. Empath falls, Parasite falls, and it's going to be a complete wipe out there in favor of Sync Esports. You see a limp on the outskirts. He had to get out of there because there wasn't much damage output that they were going to ultimately be able to do in the end, and Congo will fall. So as this game continues to progress on here, it just seems like that team fight presence is coming in stronger and stronger for Sync Esports. So yeah, I mean, I do kind of agree with you with the Souls Boric option and, you know, not having a Storm Spirit and whatnot, but it seems like overall, though, right now, Sync is taking command of this game. Yeah, they're doing all right. Safe to say.
They're doing okay. Swinnerman's buying out at the end of that team fight just to push out the other waves, trying to slow the push as much as possible, but Sync really doesn't care. They're going to go ahead and take high ground advantage right here with 3 players down. This should be a free set of racks in the middle lane, even with that glyph fortification. Parasite down for 30 seconds. I don't think they're not going to have the damage without the Parasite up, which means easy clear. Although, Hag's going in. There's the Bat Blast on the 3, Breaky.
Yeah, Pestilence going to be tabbing at 4, though he's still going to survive, and I think that's a sign right there that this game's over. Stay green, they tried. You know, you can't blame them, obviously. It's out of point if they lose a second set of racks here. What's the point of even continuing on with the league continuing to progress for Sync Esports, and the end is near. GG's being called. Sync Esports, they're going to take game number 1 here over Stay Green. Again, we've been talking about it. They seem like they've been having a good track record of scrims lately against him. And here in the King of the Hill title match, they're up 1-0 now against Stay Green in a best out of 5. So that was a hell of a game overall, though. I mean, obviously, again, both teams playing very, very well. It was back and forth, a lot of even moments, a lot of questionable decision-making at times. But in the end, Sync finally started to get the ball rolling there with their team fight presence. And it clearly worked out there. So who would have thought a double staff in the match?